Hello and welcome to my Oriluium Spring Equinox 2025 reading blog. So if you don't know what Oriluium is, it is a readathon by Book Roast, where you have a character who basically goes to university, Magic University, and takes classes, and every April and September there's a semester, and the books you read, the prompts are from the classes that your character takes. So there are lots of different careers, and so there are lots of different prompts, and how many prompts you have to do varies by the career your character took. So I have two characters, one who's learning to be a beastmaster, and one who is and one who's learning to be an archmage and a healer. I did read a bunch of books for them already, around half or slightly over half. So most of them are in the vlog where I read books with the word river in the title. And then one of them, Magic's Price, is in my vlog of reading the last Herald Mage series. But this will be the vlog, hopefully, for all the rest of the books. And I just finished Magic's Price, so now I want to move on to my next class, which is for my Beastmaster character, Ori, and that is Lore. And the course focus, the Spring Equinox, is Song of Ages, sorry, not Magic of Ages, Song of Ages. The reading prompt is to read a book with a musical term in the title. So I decided to choose I decided to choose Noteworthy by Riley Redgate. I'm definitely like, if there's a word and a compound word, then I use it because it's a compound word. It's literally two words. Like 200 years ago, it would have been spelled as two words, you know? Anyways, this book is about a girl who is an alto, and then she kind of accidentally gets accepted, I think it's accidentally, gets accepted to be a tenor in a boys' choir. And which sounds like funny and cute, but I'm also really interested because the girl is Chinese American, and I really like reading YA books with Chinese American characters. I find that, first of all, I find the culture interesting. At the same time that I find it interesting and different, I find like there are a lot of things that are similar to Jewish American culture. So, yeah, I really hope I like it. I have high hopes. I have high hopes for it. Like, even I'm not saying I think it's going to be a great book, but I think it's going to be a great book for me. Okay, so I said that the first book I'd be starting for this video would be Noteworthy by Riley Redgate, but I actually ended up starting Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke, which, by the way, this book is long. It's quite a small book, like only the size of my head, even smaller, but it's over 1,000 pages, like just slightly. It's like 1,006 or 1,007, something like that, but it is over 1,000 pages, and I'm just over 130 pages, and I'm at page 134. So, and I'm not sure what I think yet. Like, in most books, this would be quite a way in. In this book, it's like barely over a tenth of the way in. But the thing is, the summary on this book doesn't really explain it. I might have to go read the Goodreads summary. Because this summary is, Susanna Clarke's brilliant first novel is an utterly compelling epic tale of 19th century England and the two very different magicians who, as teacher and pupil and then as rivals, emerged to change its history. An international bestseller sold in 21 languages, blah, blah, blah. So all we really get is one sentence. The whole synopsis is one sentence, and the synopsis implies that this, can't tell if it's bombs or not. The synopsis implies that this is about the relationship between Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. But so first of all, it took us 2 chapters to meet Mr. Norrell, which, considering the time, like, this book starts in 1806, now it's 1807 in the book, it starts in late 1806, and so it's supposed to be written So it's supposed to be written like a Regency novel would be written. To be honest, I haven't read a lot of Regency novels. I think Wuthering Heights is a Regency novel, but it does make sense that it takes us 2 chapters to meet the main character, and then it takes us like 5 chapters to totally switch to him. But it's not. I don't like that. Like, that's why I DNF'd Les Miserables, because I don't like not following the main plot. I don't mind. Let me be clear. I don't like not following the main characters. I don't mind if we go off on some side plot that much, as long as it's relevant to the character's development, or somehow to the plot development. And the first 2 chapters were not relevant to us getting really to know Mr. Norrell, who is so far the main character. And I say so far the main character because Jonathan Strange hasn't appeared at all. And I have a feeling from how this book is set up that he is not going to appear until page 265. If then. Because basically this book is it's broken into 3 parts, and they're each called after a person. So the first part is called Mr. Norrell. The second part, which starts at page 265, is called Jonathan Strange. And the third part is called John Usglass. And who is John Usglass? And why is he important enough to have a part named after him, but not be in the title? So that is kind of annoying me. And it's not necessarily the fault of the book. It might just be the fault of the synopsis, that it gave a bad synopsis, because I'm not disliking the book itself. I do find it a bit slow. I definitely find it a bit slow. So far, I'm not agreeing with the blurb from USA Today, which says, "What kind of magic can make an 800-page novel seem too short?" But it doesn't feel super overlong to me either. It just feels a bit slow. You could have sped some stuff up. We didn't have to spend so long on getting to know this side character or this other side character and such. Or at least so far, it seems to me that way. Maybe those side characters will become super relevant later. Who knows? But I am enjoying it so far. The characters are definitely characters unto themselves. That's pretty interesting. And I don't hate the writing style. I'm not obsessed with the footnotes like everyone else seems to be, but I do like them. I do quite like them. And the writing style does kind of remind me of The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, which I read this year and is one of my favorite books I've ever read now. So I do like that, but it is a bit slow for me. And some of the character descriptions are bordering on racist, which obviously I also do not mind. This book apparently was published in 2004, and I thought it was published way later, but it was published in 2004. That's all I have for you right now, because I still have not started Noteworthy. Right now, it is the 19th, I believe. Yeah, it is the 19th of April, and I plan hopefully to start that, with God's help, on the 20th. Sorry about my hair. I've been doing a lot this morning, and I still haven't gotten to it. But I'm on it's April 21st, and I'm at page 95 of Noteworthy, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I was actually wrong. It isn't by accident, and it isn't on purpose. She joins this all-boy a cappella group by dressing up as a boy, for pretending to be a boy. And one of the things that's awesome about this book, I think it was published in 2017. Well, awesome, I don't mean specifically about the book. I mean just awesome as in interesting about the world. And the way that you can really tell is published in 2017. I've read recently a lot of books that were published in the early 2000s, between 2000 to 2010, and you can so tell that they were published then. It's just the way they talk about things. It's not only the way they talk about fashion. Absolutely, it's the way they talk about fashion, especially in the Shopaholic series, obviously. But it's just the way that they talk about things, the issues that they choose to concentrate on are so different. I recently read a book called Girl Overboard, I forgot the author's name, but I really liked it. And one of the and this girl and the main character in Girl Overboard feels kind of like not like other girls. She has this whole character arc around feeling not like other girls, among other things that happen. It isn't the biggest character arc. There's a lot of other stuff that's happening. But that's just something that I feel is like totally addressed less in books nowadays. Like this book, where we have this character who's told that she isn't really a good fit for musical theater because her voice is an alto. She's very tall, she has small boobs, and she can easily dress up and pass as a boy. So if this were written earlier, if this were written 10 years earlier, if this had been published 10 years earlier, there would totally have been a Not Like Other Girls arc. But because this was published in, like I said, I think it's 2017, instead she's like thinking about trans people and how they feel and what similarities she might have to trans people. So it's very interesting how you have this, how like you can kind of tell the when a book is published from the issues they concentrate on. So I find that very interesting. I'm also just enjoying the book. Like I said, I didn't expect this to be the best book in the world, and it's not. But I do like it. I like our main character is kind of not dumb. She's definitely not dumb. She's very smart, but she's also impulsive. Like she does not think things through. She just goes and does them. And because she's very smart, that definitely helps her at times. Like she manages to finish stuff. Like if she has a puzzle, she has to do a puzzle here at some point, and she has to do it quickly, and she manages to do it very quickly, which surprises everyone. But that's because she's very smart and she goes and does stuff. But also she does super dumb stuff because she doesn't think. She just goes and does it. Like she's dressed up as a boy, getting ready to go to her practice, and the prefect knocks on her door for a room check. And instead of saying, "Oh, sorry, I'm getting dressed," she doesn't say anything. She just breaks the window and then jumps out. She's on the ground floor, so it's fine, but like she just doesn't think. So, and I'm really enjoying that. I really enjoy I do like characters who think things through, but I also really like that she's smart, but she doesn't think things through. It's a very interesting dynamic. And I'm also enjoying the relationship that she has with so far that she's creating with these guys. She does not want to get close to them for obvious reasons, and also because she feels like she shouldn't really get close to people because she feels that she's abandoned her family by being in this boarding school at a time that's really tough for them. So she's not allowed, she doesn't deserve to get close to people. So obviously we're gonna have like an arc about that and probably about getting closer to her family, which, by the way, is something I've noticed happens a lot in Chinese American books about Chinese American characters. So I was talking to my mom about this, about why I find it interesting to read books with Chinese American characters, because the culture can be so similar to Jewish American culture, but it's also can be very different. Like there are a lot of similarities in that if like your career, it has to be a respectable career. It should be something that pays well, but also you have to be the best. Like in past generations, it was true that like you need to be a doctor, a lawyer, a business person, something like that. But now in the more future generations, where you've been in America for 2, 3 generations, so it's more like, okay, you have to choose a good career. It doesn't have to be a doctor, lawyer, business person, but you have to be the best at it, you know? And then there's also like, obviously, you give food to everyone. I just, I, I only recently found out through the internet that Europeans don't do that, and it kind of freaks me out. I'm not gonna lie. I know that it's just a cultural difference, but it does. But hospitality is so important in Jewish culture that it really kind of freaks me out. But I know it's just a cultural difference. But I do relate to all these videos I've seen on the internet of like Asian people also freaking out about that, who moved to Europe and also freaked out about that. Anyways, but one of the biggest differences that I see from the books I'm reading between Chinese American culture and Jewish American culture is the culture of secrecy in Chinese American culture, like secrecy through generations. Like, because they have this kind of hierarchy between of ages, the parents don't tell the kids stuff. Even when the kids are adults, the parents still don't tell them stuff. So you have the grandparents not telling the parents stuff, who don't tell the kids stuff, and so on. And that is just extremely different from Jewish culture. Like Jewish American culture, you've got your 5-year-olds talking with the adults about some serious stuff. Like, obviously, at a level that the 5-year-olds can understand, and if they don't understand, they just get bored and leave. But you don't, there's none of that, oh, we're not going to tell kids stuff. Everything is out, everything is open on the table. So, but like I said, in this book, her parents don't really talk to her. Like, she does know what's going on. Basically, they're in medical debt, and she is aware of that. This is something that she's aware of, but her parents don't talk to her. And that's one of the reasons that she wants not to be at home, and she's like glad that she gets to go to boarding school, even though this happened after she started boarding school, but she continues going to boarding school. She's in scholarship, and because like she feels all this tension from not talking about it. But what I find also interesting that this seems to be continuing in the book. Like I said, I'm only 95 pages in, so there hasn't been a lot of emotional development yet. But so she does have an ex-boyfriend who she says like who she mentions just a second that he never talked about stuff when he was disappointed. And then there's this boy in her a cappella group who's always grumpy, and she asks another guy about it, and she's like, family stuff, don't ask about it. So I do think that a big arc in this book is going to be how not talking about stuff affects the people not only who are part of it, but also the people around them. So I think that's going to be really interesting, and I'm really eager to continue this book. Good morning. It is April 22nd. I'm at page 201 of Noteworthy. So I'm still really enjoying it. Like, I am like kicking my feet, giggling. I love this book. But at the same time, I feel like it's trying to deal with too many issues. I'm at 48%, so just under 50%. And so I am getting to the point where the issues like will start to be like talked about more. Like I feel like in realistic fiction what we often have is up to 50% the issues are presented, 50% to 75 the issues are starting to be dealt with, and like 75% to the end is like the issues get resolved, and then like the very end last 10 to 5% is like the wrap up. So, but like a lot of issues have come up. There are some that have been resolved already, like very quickly, which I did not mind. The one I'm talking about specifically is her thinking about, is she a girl, or is she really a girl like she thought she was? Or does the freedom that she feels in dressing up as a boy mean that she's actually a boy? So that got resolved very quickly. I don't mind that because it does feel very realistic. Obviously, you know the answer. She doesn't feel trans. She feels like a girl from the fact that it got resolved very quickly. And it felt realistic that it did that. So I don't really mind that. But it is bringing up a lot of issues. Like, I actually feel like some of them are going to be resolved quickly. Like the fact that she just like learned that she's probably bi and not straight. Like that I feel is going to be resolved pretty quickly as well. But I did mention before the issue of people not discussing stuff, and like having that not discussing stuff be kind of a tension that isn't very pleasant for everyone involved. And now also it's talking about, this has been a little going on from the beginning, but it's getting stronger and stronger, talking about sexism. Basically, especially in performance, how the world sees women. So, and like what they're supposed to be. So like the whole premise of this is expected because the whole premise of the book is that she's an alto, and because she's an alto, she doesn't get parts in musicals. So, but like, but I think it's done so far. It's been done very well for the most part because like they're not like being like, oh, musical's bad, this bad, this bad. Like, it's not like black and white. It's talking more about like I said, how women are seen and how that affects the parts that they get that are written for them in plays, or the parts that they get in performance, and even like how their performance is seen. Like there's a lot they're talking a lot about how boy a cappella groups are seen versus girl a cappella groups are seen. So like I do think that's interesting. I just like it also feels like a lot because the author is bringing up a lot of different aspects of it, which on one hand is a good thing because like I said, it's showing that it's not black and white. But on the other hand, I'm like scared that the author won't be able to deal with all this. But I really like how the author writes this. Like, I guess I should have mentioned this before because it actually came up before, but our main character, she's Asian, she's Chinese American, like I said. She's a girl, obviously, and she's going to this super rich school, and she's not rich, she's on scholarship, and she's going to this super rich school, which only, like, opened in 1982 for women to perform, and obviously it used to be like for women to join, and obviously it used to be mainly white people, like old schools. It was opened in the 1880s. Um, and so she keeps on having this feeling of like she doesn't belong. And I feel like a lot of books would take that feeling and be like, oh, it's the fault of the people who are in the school now because their ancestors were sexist and racist and blah blah blah. And it's like, and the author, and again, this is kind of skimmed over, but I feel, but it is important to me that the author doesn't do that. That's more like, oh, our main character Jordan feels like she doesn't belong because of the history that affects her, but it isn't the fault of the people nowadays. Um, so I do like that the author is taking a lot of aspects and not making it black and white. At the same time, I'm scared that it will be a mess. So that's it. By the way, the last plot point, totally expected, but oh my god, I loved it. It was amazing. How Jordan is going to get out of this mess when everything finally gets revealed, I have no idea, but I am so excited for it. Good morning, it is April 23rd, and I'm up to page 278 of Noteworthy, and I actually do have a complaint this time. So, one of the people in our a cappella group has found out that she's actually a girl, and I'm not mad at who found out. There were like two options of who could find out or make sense within the story, and I'm really glad the author went with this one. This is absolutely the better one. Um, but I don't like how he found out. It felt really kind of like shoved in, which I do understand how that can happen. Like the author writes like how for like 3 months she's been hiding that she's a girl. So it does have to like be something crazy that I guess that find out that she's a boy, but like I feel like it could have been like much less shoved in. Like I don't know what I would have done. Um, but there are definitely options. Like she if she can like hide the fact that she has a period while staying in the house with someone, there should have been a better option than this. Okay. Now back to all the good things. I really like this book. Um, so there is this one guy that I think she's going to have a romance with. In the beginning of the book, I really wasn't buying it because it was just like based on on how attractive he was to her. But now they're getting to know each other. I'm actually starting to like it. Like, if the romance happened, I would not be mad. Obviously, it does need more time to develop though, because uh, of the whole hiding that she's a girl thing. one thing I do find really interesting about maybe this book, maybe realistic fiction, is like I'm not really surprised at anything that's happening in this book. Like I'm I'm top of all the beats, you know? But every time something does happen that I expect, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so excited. I knew this was going to happen. Which I feel like is something that you want that makes sense to want in realistic fiction because it's supposed to be realistic. Like, yeah, I understand why this character would act that way. That's a very realistic way for a character to act. And obviously, you want that in all fiction, but I feel like realistic fiction more than any other fiction, which I think is kind of neat. Then that I want to know, like, that I'm getting excited because I was right about what happened. Like from the beginning of the book, basically, I was right about what happened and why. So I finished Noteworthy. It is still the 23rd, but it is like 13, 14 hours later. And I finished Noteworthy by Riley Redgate. If you couldn't tell, I really liked it. Now, there is a thing that I was worried about that she wasn't going to be able to wrap all these threads up. I mean, overall, I feel like she did do a good job. While she didn't really wrap them up, um, I felt like she did end them in a satisfying manner, like because part of it was just like me. I like to pick up hints of what the book is going to be about. It ended up being like really just about this main character story, and I do like that it isn't a book that tells you what to think. It's a book that brings up a topic and makes you think, but it doesn't tell you what to think. So, and that is definitely like, that's the kind of book I like. And it's part of the reason why I love this book so much. On the other hand, when it comes to the misogyny talk, I feel like that one she did drop the ball a little on. It was a very big part of the book, and it just felt like she never really like there was ever really in that one needed well not to be wrapped up. I don't think I would have liked it if I would have liked it if it had been wrapped up, but to be talked about a little more, to be brought like a little closer to an open ending for that part of the book, the misogyny part, and not only the misogyny part, the sexism part. Like there was also this part that I really liked, where our main character Jordan is discovering like all these good things. You know, she's been dressing as a boy, and she's discovering all these good things about people treating her as a boy, and then suddenly she discovers this someone treats her really horribly because she's a boy, like in and not like new sexism, like in part of the ingrained sexism of society. Basically, she is told to man up about something she really should not, be told to man up about. In general, I don't think you should tell people to man up. People have their feelings. But overall, I really love this book. This book, let me look. I did not love the romance plotline in this. I it was fine. But I totally understood it, which is why I'm fine with it. But this book is the first time I've understood why someone taking care of someone else's wounds seems sweet and romantic. Every other time I've read it, I've just been grossed out at the thought of someone coming that close to the people's wounds. Even though it's really weird. Like when I take care of someone else, I'm like I literally there was this girl who knocked her head once and was bleeding, and I did not care. I could not care less about the fact that her blood was getting all over me or whatever. I just wanted to like calm her parents down, etc. Like when I'm taking care of someone else, unless the injury's in the foot, I am fine. When I'm taking care of myself or I'm reading about it, then I get super grossed out, which is weird to me. But that's what it is. Anyways, back to the book. So I really like this book. Like there were those two things I said of I feel like the sexism should have been wrapped up a little more, the sexism talk, and the I really feel like there could have been much better ways for her to have been discovered, and later when another person in the group does discover her, it is done in a much better way. But those are well, they're not nitpicky. I loved this book so much. I thought it was just, you could tell how much thought the author had put into this book, into the characters, into like each character's background. It's just like, even if we don't really get to learn a lot about it, it's just so obviously well thought out. Like, it's just so obvious that the author knows each character's background, and that's coming through in how the characters talk, how they interact, and I just, it was so good. This book is so good. Basically, Noteworthy by Riley Redgate. Amazing. Now, the next book I'm going to read, and probably the last book in April, though I'm going to manage to read it in April, because I don't think I'm going to be able to finish Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell in April. But I am planning on continuing into May, because basically, well, I could do it just without using the points, but you basically get points and then you can pay to and stuff to continue into May and still pass the semester. But basically, the last book I want to read, last book, what? The next book I want to read for this is No One Will Come Back for Us by Premee Mohammed. So, this book is, I believe it's a short story collection. And I read, I think last year, I read a different book by Premee Mohammed. I don't remember what it was called. It was something about a forest, but it was really good. Like, I loved it. It was dark fantasy. So this one is a debut collection of contemporary cosmic horror and dark fantasy. So it seems to be, and I do like cosmic horror, Cthulhu horror, and apparently I also like dark fantasy, and I really like short stories. I think short stories should be something that is, like, I can understand why people don't like short stories, but I personally really like short stories, so I hope I enjoy this. And I just looked it up. The book that I read and really liked by her is called The Butcher of the Forest. Oh, and I forgot to say, I looked up Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell on Goodreads, and they do have a much better summary. Like, first of all, instead of being one line, it is 3 paragraphs, but also the most important line, I think, is blah, blah, blah. It talks about Mr. Norrell, and then in the second paragraph it says, yet the cautious, fussy Norrell is challenged by the emergence of another magician, the brilliant novice, I don't know, Jonathan Strange. Young, handsome, and daring, Strange is a very antithesis of Norrell. Like, so begins a dangerous battle between these two great men, which overwhelms that between England and France. This happens during the Napoleonic Wars. And their own obsessions and secret dabblings in dark arts are going to cause more trouble than they can imagine. Like, first of all, that sentence about the challenge describes much more what it seems the relationship is going to be, even though, like I said, I've not gotten to Jonathan Strange's appearance yet, but it describes much more what it seems the relationship is going to be like than the teacher and student describes in the summary of the book. And it basically just describes the book more. But anyways, yeah, Noteworthy by Riley Redgate. You should read it. Hello. Let's see if I can get the light better. Is that better? That's better. It is April 25th, and I have started No One Will Come Back for Us by Premee Mohammed today. I read the first story in it, which I enjoyed. I liked it. I didn't love it. Partly I just didn't connect to it as much as I would have liked as much as I would for a story that I really, really loved. Partly because it just felt like very the same. I read a lot of short stories that have had the same vibe. It's what's been popular in the past few years, and again, it's just not something I very much connect to, which is why while I really liked it, I did not love it. There were also some grammar mistakes, but I did like it. Like it's hard to say anything about short story and say why you liked it because it's just a short story. I liked it. I thought even though the vibe was the same in a lot of things, it did change some stuff. It did have some stuff that wasn't exactly the same as like as a lot of stuff are, and I found that very interesting. Oh, you know what? That's what I was forgetting. I forgot to say why I read this. This is for why I'm reading this book. This is for the Conjuration class. I forget what the course focus is for my character Estella, and I forget what the course focus is, but the reading prompt was to take a random country generator, generate 5 countries, and read an author with the nationality of one of them. So I generated Romania, North Korea, Namibia, Canada, and China, and Premee Mohammed is Canadian. So, but I think that's a really cool prompt. I thought that was a really fun, cool prompt. But yeah. Hello, it is April 26th, and I am 410 pages into Jonathan Strange of Mr. Norrell. And to be honest with you, I do not understand why this book is so long. It's not, it's just like, it's not that I'm not enjoying it, but I'm not rushing to pick it up. I'm not super enjoying it. And I feel like for a book to be 1,003 pages, 1,006 pages, sorry, you should feel you should want to pick it up all the time. And it just kind of feels like doesn't feel like the truth is there's no real plot to this, which I guess is why they found it so hard to write a summary. Um, and I guess I just have to live with that. This is not a plot book. Ow. But it's not really a character book either. I guess it's more of a. It just. I feel like the author had in her head this idea of this magic that she wanted to explore, this kind of idea, and this world that she wanted to put it in. And that's basically what she wrote about. And that's basically what we're following. There isn't really any plot. There isn't really any character development. I do like the character portraits she draws, but they don't change. They are static. She does draw them very well, but they are static. Yeah. So I don't know. I might DNF this. Right now, I'm not, but I just don't really see why this has to be 1,006 pages long. Anyways, I've decided that it's probably going to be way too long to try to put all of the books that I've left to read for the magical readathon into one vlog. So I'm going to do, hopefully, weekly vlogs. So this is the last clip of this vlog. Okay? So, see you!